Let us look at the circle. Here, this is the center of the circle. Then you can say that the circle, in my own words, is the path traced out by a moving point when that moving point is always at a fixed distance from a fixed point. This is the fixed point, and this is the moving point. Now let's look at different parts of the circle. Going right around, round and round and round, all the way around. Is what you call the circumference. Right? Circumference. Now, let me write that down. The circumference. So the circumference is that part going round and round the circle, right? Now, this of course is the center of the circle. C-E-N-T-E-R, American spelling. C-E-N-T-R-E, British spelling. So that's right at the center there, all right? Then you can have a straight line. Let me put in a straight line going from the center to any point on the circumference, right? Now that, you have another name for it, a special name for it. It is called the radius, the R-A-D-I-U-S, the radius, right? Then suppose you have this other line. Say from here, inside the circle, it goes from one point on the circumference through the center to another point on the circumference. You have a special name for that one too. It is called the diameter. The diameter, right? Now the diameter will be double the circumference. The length of the diameter is double the circumference. It's double the radius. The length of the diameter is double the radius, right? In other words, the length of the radius is half the length of the diameter. Alright, let's erase some of these things before it gets too crowded. Let me remove my diameter for a while here. Remove some of these things that I have. Let me remove this dot. Alright, nice. Now, I have some dots here I'm just removing, and the E. Now, suppose you have a line that goes from one point on the circumference inside the circle to another point. Now, as long as that happens, this line is called a chord, C-H-O-R-D. That line is a chord. Now, there is a name given to the longest chord in the circle. If I should move the chord like this so that the chord passes through the center, that one is a special chord, and you call it the diameter, which we saw a while ago. All right. So the diameter is the longest chord that the circle has. Let me move the chord back up here. Now, the chord divides the circle into two parts, two different parts. You have one area, or two different areas I should say. This area that I can shade, and this other area that I shade different. These areas are called segments. All right. This is a segment. Another segment. So the chord divides the circle into two different segments, two areas that we call the segments. Now, in a case where you have a smaller segment and a bigger segment, like in this case, the smaller one is called the minor segment. In this area is the minor segment, and then this area is the major segment. Right? Let me erase some of these. Now, you might have a line that is outside of the circle. Remember, the chord is a line inside the circle. Another line that is outside the circle. Say it starts here and it touches the circle. It doesn't cut through the circle. It just touches the surface of the circle. You have a special name for this line. It is called a tangent. It is called a tangent. Alright? It just touches the circle at one point. Now, if I had this line cut through the circle, right? Let me get rid of this line first before I draw another line. If I had this line outside the circle, cut through the circle. Now that it cuts through the circle, it's no longer a tangent. You call it a secant. A secant. Alright? So that line is called a secant. Let me get rid of this and this. Now, in a case where you have two different chords in the circle that touches the center of this chord, and you have this not chord, radii, one radius more than one radii, right? In a case where you have two different radii in the circle, These also divide the circle into two areas. Remember that the chord divided the circle into two areas. Let me get rid of this chord for a while. We have two radii. Right? We have this radius and this radius. That divides the circle into two parts. Two areas, I should say. Now, these two areas are, let me shade them. We have this area. And then you have this area. Two different areas. These areas are called sectors. This is a sector. This is another sector. These two areas. In this case, you have two different size sectors. The smaller one is called a minor sector, and the bigger one is called the major sector. Right? Let me erase this and look at another part of the circle. I'll get rid of some of these extra dots that I didn't want to be there in the first place. And I'll also get rid of this radius and this radius. Just erasing the board. Now, I can look at this circle and I see that we have our circumference. Suppose I don't want to concentrate on the entire circumference. I just want to concentrate on part of the circumference. Say from here to here. Right? Let me put arrows on it. Now in this case, what I call part of the circumference, right, is an arc. That's an arc there. So around here is another arc. So this, if you have a small and a big arc, a small arc, you call it the minor arc, and the big arc, you call it the major arc. Right? Now, those are some basic parts of the circle that we want to be familiar with before we move on to study the circle some more. So I will just leave those for now, and we will look at further information on the circle in a separate video.